stand before you to preach the 9:30 worship service for the last time. And it's funny, the things I've been going through. I've been walking around doing the things I typically do on a Sunday morning. I put this earpiece on and thought, hey, it's the last time I've been doing that here. I even put a battery in this pack and said, hey, what's the last time I'm going to be doing this here? And I need to be honest with you. It feels surreal. And I keep thinking that any minute now the alarm clock is going to go off. And this will be a dream. 11 years, I have been blessed to call Stuart my home. I've lived here longer than anywhere else I have ever lived before. And I've lived here longer than probably anywhere else I will ever live. And I consider myself fortunate for being able to put this kind of time down here and call it home. My wife and I have been driving around town running errands lately. And as we go over the bridges and things like that, we look around and say, wow, this place sure is beautiful. And I'm glad that I've been able to share that with her too. 11 years here. When we moved here, our daughter was just starting middle school, same age as Samantha is now. We were thinking about that the other night. And, you know, she went from being this kind of knock-knee, awkward child to becoming a middle school student to blossoming into something. I mean, she got it from her mother, but she turned into this beautiful, beautiful girl. And now she's all the way from college. And, you know, we told her we were going to be moving to Coral Gables. She said, it's all right, I'm never going to live there. And I said, young lady, you were going to have your own room in that house. Because while you might not be living with us, you might not be living in our house. You will be living in our hearts, and you'll always have a place. I want to talk about Coral Gables. Well, Stuart, you'll always have a place. Always have a place right here. And I've always enjoyed worshiping at this time. 8 o'clock, fun. They're the morning people. Yeah. And this is the high energy service. And wow, I love that too. I want to continue talking about passing the baton. I also want to continue in a moment of personal privilege. Y'all have heard me talk about my grandmother before, the lady that's 110 and a half. Yeah. The one I go to the Everglades with, and the one that shoots the machine gun in the Everglades. She did that when she was much younger, when she was in her early hundreds. She got very embarrassed that I told you that one time. But it wanted me to set the record straight. But my wife and I were out to dinner this past Friday, right around sundown, and my phone rang, and it was my father, and I could tell by the tone in his voice that his heart was heavy. And he told me, he said, Mom, Weeks has passed the finish line. So she's run on to be with the Father. And hey, 110 and a half years? Yeah. You know, the year that she was born, the Wright brothers filed for the patent for the flying machine. She told us stories about how her father would hitch up the team of horses and they'd ride into Louisville on Sunday afternoons. And the lady saw a lot of changes. She really did. But in preparing for this, my own father was up there at her home about 6 weeks ago, and he found a letter that had been written from my grandfather, Louise's husband. At the outside of the envelope, it said, to be opened on the occasion of my death. Well, my grandfather died 22 years ago. And so my grandmother had opened it at the occasion of his death and read it. The letter was still there. My own father read it. And there was a letter from my grandfather to my grandmother. And it was thanking her for being such a wonderful wife. And it was thanking her for being such a wonderful mother. And it was thanking her for taking care of him during his last couple of years of illness. My grandfather signed off by saying, when your time comes, I'll be waiting at the gate for you. And Friday at sundown, my grandparents had a reunion at the gate.